Neelan's Mountaineers enjoy walking in where angels fear to tread. As the hills of West Virginia resound with the sounds of Golden Blue football. Here's Harrison, trouble, stiff arms, the would-be tackler, comes down over the 25 to 20, goes around about it to 15 to 10 to 5, a touchdown West Virginia, he did it!
Takes the Slater one-on-one with the defender, look at that one!
West Virginia football, you know what that's about, they don't know what it's about, West Virginia football, we're all our people!
Let them know. Leave no doubt tonight. Leave no doubt tonight. No doubt. They shouldn't have played the old Golden Blue.
It is a great night to be a Mountaineer wherever you may be.
What's up, everybody? How's it going? Big Bubba Brad with the Country Roads webcast back at you again with another post-game live show. WVU here on the Voice of College Football. Glad to have you guys on here. So West Virginia gets a win. I'll say in the way that they should have. Covers the score, 65-7. Seemed to be a really good game. A lot of fun to watch. So we got to see our quarterbacks, a whole skew of quarterbacks, good bit of running backs, and it was probably the most complete game that we've seen. Granted, it should have been against this Towson team playing FCS. Definitely handled them the way we should have. While you guys are on here, just go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the Country Roads webcast, the Voice of College Football, the Voice of College Football WVU brand, and yeah, so let's kind of get into it. So first thing off, obviously we saw all four quarterbacks today. So we got a good dose of JT Daniels, Will Crowder, Garrett Green, and Nico Marchiol, and they all looked pretty good. I would say to really start it off, JT Daniels, he looked like he was just having a field day out there, kind of picking anybody he wanted to, throwing it to him, and it was just kind of having a field day out there. Honestly, it was really fun to watch. Ended up going 16 for 24 for one touchdown. One of his better showings so far. And you guys got any questions, got any comments, make sure you drop them down in there. We'll get to talking about them as we go along. It's kind of not much to talk about in a blowout win where you're winning 65-7, but there's definitely a few things you can touch on. And I do believe that my co-host Steven will be jumping on, and I think that we're going to have a surprise guest, Mr. Paul the Mountaineer, popped on as well. So we'll get them in here when they can. I know Steven's walking back from walking to his car from the game right now. So yeah, West Virginia definitely feels good to get win number one in the 2022 season. Still a bit bitter, it's not a big win the way we'd like it to be, but yeah, so it is what it is. So we'll get some of these comments in here. So we got Candyman in here. Welcome back, Candyman2055. Listen, awesome to see a W, but we played extremely bad team. O-line made mistakes early, and defense wasn't really tested. Hopefully this propels us into a good game Thursday. Absolutely. Towson was not a great team. It's a team we should have beat by the margin that we did. We did cover the spread, so that is, one positive to look at. But yeah, I went into this game talking about how, it doesn't matter what you do against Towson, you're not gonna bait me into feeling any better going into the Virginia Tech game, even though Virginia Tech has still not looked that great. beating up on Towson was going to do nothing to make me feel better about our season as it stands right now. So, yeah, definitely a good point. And, I went into this game talking about what I really needed to see. What I really needed to see this game was an effort to change some things up. And so I think that I saw a little bit more of that this game that I wanted to see. We saw a lot of different offensive line formations. We can talk about that. We did see some Jacoby spells, and I think I saw some Mumu bin Wahab back there. I'm not exactly sure about the snaps. But those are the guys that I was wanting to see. We switched up linebackers. We had X3 low. X3 Lowe's playing out there, getting the start, moving Lance Dixon over, letting him play spear, I believe. Yeah, it was a lot of big changes. And I thought that was definitely something that we needed to see that we have not seen under Neil Brown. Just holding some of these players responsible. Sean Martin getting the start was really impressive. He should have gotten the start. And, that's a positive to see. He's been running he's been having a great season. So it's really great to see Sean Martin get the start and see Neil Brown kind of stick to his words of getting these players that are putting out more effort a good start. Gotcha. All right, we got Kenneth Hill in here. What's up, Kenneth? We will get them. This gives our guys confidence. We did it pretty clean. I was proud of them. Yeah, I'm proud of them too. A win is a win. Our guys played hard. And, definitely helps getting a number in the win column so far. We got Misplaced Hillbilly here. Love that name, man. Thanks for joining in. I think they were in a lot more third and short more than should have. First and second down seemed like they weren't getting the yards they should have early. I think that you're talking about Towson getting into third and shorts a lot more. And, yeah, I didn't necessarily notice that. I do know that they did not have a great third down conversion rate. Let's see here. What do we got going on? Yeah, so they were 3 of 14 on third downs, but 3 of 4 on fourth downs. So, they were definitely able to get their fourth downs, and they went for them. Held Towson to a total of 180 yards in the whole game. That's pretty impressive, holding a team under 200 yards offense, 98 passing, and 82 rushing. So under 100 in each of those categories. Got on here. Kansas is probably better than expected, though. They're tired with the Fighting Danas. And, I honestly think that that Kansas team is a really good Kansas team. I wouldn't be surprised if they got 7 or 8 wins. I don't know if it's going to make me feel any better. We got Steven in here. Yellow. Let me get this. Here we go. What up, brother? So Steven was at the game. So we were just talking about one of the guys that brought up how Kansas is, probably going to be a better team this year. But tell me what you saw at the game and how it felt being there. Let's say there was a lot more fans there than we expected there to be there. So what did it feel like in the stands today?
Yeah, honestly, it did. It felt like there was a lot more people there than a lot of people probably thought there would have been. Atmosphere was really good, very positive considering, everything that's been spiraling, throughout the fan base on social media throughout the past week. The outcome that we hoped for, I don't know. I don't want to say expected because I don't know if anybody knew what to expect going into the game score-wise. But a lot of positive things. I thought that there was a lot of things I seen that we could have done better. I remember making the comment early on in the game that it didn't feel like we were up. I think it was 35-7. I don't know what the exact score was at the time, but might have been 38. But it didn't feel like West Virginia should have been up by that much because West Virginia wasn't playing very positive in my opinion early on in the football game. With that said, I like some things that I seen in the second half a lot out of the younger guys and some of the newer guys.
Yeah, and I'm sure there was a collective sigh in the stadium when they returned that first kickoff for a touchdown. It's the only points WVU allowed this game, but definitely not a good way to start it out when you got an itchy fan base right now that are, feeling a little fired up, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that part. I'm glad you brought that up. As optimistic as a whole as they were, that one was definitely not a fun time to be on the sideline for, the Mountaineer football program. So I'm telling you. So, like you said, for that to be the only points they allowed in the entire football game, that's not the moment you wanted to allow it.
Yeah,
as soon as the game kicks off.
Yeah, because that definitely, gets a little worry, and not at any point in time did I think that we were going to lose to Towson or even be in a close game with Towson. But when you've been preaching, you got to clean up mistakes and stuff like that to have, the first kickoff go yard. That's not comfortable, and especially the way it looked on TV, man, because I saw a guy literally take on a block instead of taking on the runner. I mean, ran in the opposite, was standing right in front of him, ran the opposite direction to take on a block rather than try to attack the runner. And I've just never seen anything like that on the football field, honestly.
Yeah, I didn't even notice it whenever the play actually happened. And then I remember I noticed it whenever you had messaged the group and they showed a replay up on the screen. And yeah, I guess that's what you call a hothead, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Somebody just seeks the physical contact rather than playing for the actual reasoning of the game. And then not only that, the very next kickoff and most of the other kickoffs throughout the day were very suspect. So as bright of a spot as special teams has been, that one needs to be cleaned up before this coming Thursday, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, so it's definitely a place where we're going to seem to struggle against teams that have really good kickoff specialists or return specialists because we have just not – I mean, we brought in Parker Grotehouse with the assumptions that, he was going to put him out the back of the end zone every single time, and that has just not seemed to be the case.
No, he hasn't – how many has he kicked out of the end zone? I'd like to see the exact number on that.
I would say it's close to like 40%, maybe. I mean, he does put a few of them back there, but
he does put a few back there. But after everything you heard in the off season, I've said it a few times, but I guess I'm to the point now. I'm just going to believe anything opposite of what I hear in the off season from this coaching staff anymore.
Yeah, pretty much how it feels, honestly.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, and I wanted to mention this towards the beginning. ESPN Plus is awful. It was so bad. For the first quarter and a half, you couldn't even hear the commentators because it was just breaking up the whole time. I mean, it was just choppy. And I thought it was just my internet at first. I popped it up on my phone. It was doing the same thing on my phone, hopped on Twitter. It was happening to everybody else. And yeah, it took them almost the end of the second quarter to kind of get that fixed. And yeah, ESPN Plus, I'm paying $10 a month for that. I should be able to hear my commentators. I should have a cameraman that, can find our offensive coordinator because it wasn't showing him when they were saying Graham Harrell. And then they were focusing on the wrong guy after every single play. And then, we're just getting shots of the field and nobody's even standing there. And it was just ESPN Plus is bad. It's bad.
Yeah, I've never been a fan of ESPN. And, likewise, ESPN hasn't been that big of a fan of WVU. I'll tell you a moment to go back and look for is whenever we played Virginia Tech in Washington, D.C., and they're showing Will Greer on the TV there. It's definitely not Will Greer. He has number 7 on his jersey, but it's not Will Greer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's embarrassing, man. It's like, you think, can we get something a little bit better,
Yeah.
Guess not.
Yeah,
Guess not. All right, let's pull up another one. I want to pull up this question again. So Candyman was saying Kansas is probably better than they expected, though. They're tied right now with the Fighting Danas. Who's the Fighting Danas? Who's Kansas actually playing? But I wanted to ask you, what would Kansas's win-loss category have to be this year for you to consider that not a bad loss?
Mm.
I get it's Kansas, but if they're,
to be honest with you, to be honest with you, to make it justifiable in my mind, to be able to lose to that Kansas team, that Kansas team needs to surpass or get to 8 wins, because it's not enough for me if they get to a 6-win season or a 5-win season, because what did Kansas win last year? 2 games, if that, 1 game.
Yeah, I think they
and
won
in
one
conference at
game.
that. So you don't. If they end up getting 5 to 6 wins in the season, yeah, they're a progressed program, and yeah, they are going to win some games they're not supposed to. But West Virginia being in the position that they're in, you're not supposed to be one of those teams that take that. You know what I mean? You're in that position yourself. So
absolutely.
So I would have to say 8, 9 wins.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that Kansas is playing Houston, which makes sense. The Fighting Danas. Pretty sure.
Yeah, that's why.
So I was just curious about where you would put that at. A win against or a loss against Kansas at what point in time? Like, what would they have to get to make us feel not so bad about them? All right, and then we got a Snow Lord 1999 here in the chat. It says, if we can even out our season to 2-2, I'd feel a little bit better. Hopefully, our team has confidence now heading into Thursday. I don't know how much of a confidence building win this can be. It's better than a loss for sure. It's better than a close win for sure. But again, it's Towson, and I just don't. It feels better, like I said, than losing, but I'm not any more confident going into Blacksburg on Thursday than I was before the game. How do you feel?
Right. Steve? Yeah, I'm more. I wouldn't say optimistic. I wouldn't say they say you have confidence builders in games. I believe that, like you said, this doesn't really boost your confidence because it's Towson, but what it does boost is morale. So you know what I mean, like. You kind of need these games throughout the season to do that for your season. I think that's what it does. You would have played
You're breaking up on us, Steven. We can't hear you.
Is it my headphones or is it the phone?
You were breaking up on us. We couldn't hear you during that. You kind of sounded like an ESPN Plus commentator.
Am I back now? Is it better?
Yeah, it's better. It's a little choppy, but it is doing better.
I was going to say, I don't know how much reception I have in this area, so I do apologize. It's still choppy.
Yeah, it is. It's still kind of hard. Hard.
Let me try to leave and come back.
Going 2-2 would definitely winning against Virginia. Got you. I'll bring you back in. But yeah, so we're definitely going 2-2 would make me feel a little bit better, for sure. I'll say Virginia Tech's, Power 5 program. They have been looking kind of suspect this year. I'm not going to feel entirely better after beating a Virginia Tech team either. So it's really scary that I'm going to have to wait until we're rolling into DKR in order to know for a real confidence check to see how good our team can be. Are we going to get back up to that Pittsburgh performance, or are we going to continue to struggle? So,
all right, back. How's it now?
Yeah, that's way better.
All right. Yeah, I think I hit a lag spike or something like that.
Gotcha. So we were talking about 2-2. Do you think that this is a morale booster going into Thursday, or do you feel like the same before you watch this game about Thursday?
Generally, I feel pretty much the same, and I knew that we would get this type of atmosphere and game today. But like you said, I think it does boost a little bit morale. Like if we would have had a Power 5 team come in today, and we have a third heartbreaking loss, what does that do for the rest of your season? That's just a snowball effect waiting to happen right there. So I think you kind of needed this team in here today to go into Thursday, because Virginia Tech, I mean, we're being honest if we say that they're not that talented of a football team this year, but that's a losable game for West Virginia, one might say, because the atmosphere alone is going to create problems.
Yeah, you can't walk in there thinking that you're going to beat that team. We're going to have to go in there and earn a win for sure. I say Virginia Tech and Blacksburg has never been an easy place to go and win. So going down 1-3 definitely would not feel good, but evening up at 2-2 would probably appease the fan base a little bit, especially if you come out and look good. If you come out and look nasty against Virginia Tech and not very great, people are going to be mad. But if you come out and handle Virginia Tech solidly and never even let them in the game, then you also, you're finally getting yourself some real momentum built up going into Texas in the bye week.
Yeah. And, I mean, traditionally, West Virginia has played well down in Austin. So I'm hoping that if we're going to have any chance of turning this thing around and, getting to where we want to be, that's what it's going to take, is playing well down in Austin, because that team is, I don't know if they're quote unquote back, but I do think that they are a very good team this year. So it's going to be a tough game down there in Austin. So if you can find a way to get that one, it's going to be what will turn us around, I believe.
And it's definitely, not as scary with Quinn Ewers still out, I believe. They're going to have their backup quarterback. We'll have a little bit better of a chance there. But their defense is real. Texas's defense is real. And, I talked about on our pregame show, I think it was our Q&A that you and I were on a couple of days ago, that our linemen needed to have a spectacular game. And they did not. They did not have a flawless game. They did okay. They did not get beat every play, but we did not look great. And, that's something that we have to clean up. And especially against a team like Towson, we should not have let up one sack today like we did against that team. So that, I think, is not boding very well for us going forward. I still think the offensive line is struggling. And at this moment, I'm still on the Matt Moore's probably got to go after this season. If Neil Brown stays, I know he swears by Matt Moore, but he's had this group of offensive linemen, some of them now for 3 years, most of them, all of them for 2 years. So at some point in time, you just got to say that they're still getting beat, and it's all of them. It's across the board. We're jumping off sides. We're getting beat. We're holding. It's not a good look. It's not a good look for us. And
it's veteran guys too. It's not your young guys who you make excuses for, week in and week out last year, and you say that they need time to gel. It's your veteran guys like Zach Frazier. Those are the guys that I see getting these false starts and these procedure penalties, and I don't understand that. I feel like, if anything, those are the guys that you're supposed to expect consistency and continuity from is any veteran at any position, not let alone on the offensive or defensive line.
We got Mountaineer Paul in here now. Hey, there we go.
What's up, fellas?
Sorry, what's going on,
Hey,
Mountaineer Paul? Thank you for joining us here.
Man, I've never been more disappointed in a 65-7 win.
Yeah. Let us know your initial reactions. WVU does get the win 65-7. It's not perfect, it's not clean, but it's a win. So let us know what were your thoughts after that game.
Biggest takeaway was, first of all, this is just my opinion. If Nico's the future, let him be the future. I really felt like he should have went in after JT left. That's just my opinion. I'll give kudos to Garrett Green and Will Crowder. They both played really well. I'm sure it's a lot closer when, in the room, when they're in the room together, they're all competing for that job. I'm sure it's really close. But at the end of the day, we all know who the future is, and whatever how the chips have to fall, they have to fall if somebody needs to transfer or whatever. But it's not a bad situation to have. I heard you talking about penalties and just small things that if we just something small, but that pop pass to Reese Smith early in the game would have been a TFL against Virginia Tech. Things like that. That's I'm really happy we won 65-7, but there was just so much to be desired for me today. There were a couple drives that there was just no energy. It was almost like we were winning by default, and I'm really proud of the guys. I hate to be so negative. I just think things have to get better. Coaching decisions are still questionable for me. Roster lineups are questionable for me. We heard that there was going to be movement at the linebacker position today. Wasn't really much of that at all. Maybe they figured it out. They kind of, Neil Brown led us to believe in his press conference last week that changes were going to be made at the linebacker spot. I'm not saying it needed to happen. I'm just saying what was said didn't happen. So maybe something good happened. I'm not sure. But overall, I'm really happy. But really happy we have C.J. Donaldson. Wish he would get more touches. But, a few things to gripe about, but a lot more to be happy about.
Yeah, definitely. I had brought up, it's better than, a loss, but it's still not very confidence boosting. It's Towson. You handled them the way you should have handled them. Did not let a touchdown up defensively, which is, a positive. Offense really went in there and handled their thing. Yeah, let's talk about the quarterback situation. I really thought that Nico would come in right after JT Daniels like you did, Paul. I figured he would be playing at least a quarter and a half, but they really seemed to spread it out and let those guys, show what they've got. Will Crowder looks good, went 6 for 6, 57 yards and a touchdown. Can't really complain about that. Garrett Green looked better, but he still looked like the Garrett Green that we've kind of seen. He's quick to run. His passes weren't that great. Some of them were getting tipped. Some of them were getting missing the target completely. Nico looks good. So 2 for 4, 1 touchdown, 32 yards. Can't really harp about that. But yeah, I definitely expected to see him more than what we did. I thought he would get more of the plays, but I don't know. At the end of the day, I'm surprised we still have all 3 backups on the roster right now, which I think is a positive, but it's definitely something.
Yeah, I think the prettiest play of the day, in my opinion, was that backside end zone catch by Preston Fox from Nico. I still think that was the prettiest play of the day. I want to see more. I know that they keep saying, they don't do it against the ones, but, give Preston Fox a chance to do it against the ones. Yeah. I wanted to see a lot more action out of him today. And we've seen it late, but I wanted to see once we get up 38-7, that's when I want to see Preston Fox. That's what's going to get this fan base back into it after the spring game that he had. You put him on scholarship, and then, you don't play him until I think it was like last 8 minutes of the fourth quarter that we seen him. So, you talk about playing a lot of these younger guys, and the defensive side, we've seen that a little bit on the back end. But yeah, these are the games that those things are supposed to happen. That's the coaching staff is losing me in a lot of ways, and that's one of them.
Yeah, if not now, then when? So
right.
At what point in time, what other team are going to go into Texas and try to put Trey Lathan in there at linebacker and see what he does? I don't think so. You're not going to put Mumu Ben Wahad back there at safety trying to get him broken against Baylor, coming off a bye week.
Right.
So, yeah, not enough.
I do have a theory on why the quarterback situation played out today. It's just something that popped into my head. I kind of hope it's true. I wonder if on this 5-day short week that we have, the coaches are trying to make Virginia Tech guess if JT were to go down, who the quarterback is going to be, because I think that would be a good plan. If Nico's practicing, because 2 times this past week in the press conference, unprovoked, he was being asked about special teams. Neil Brown brought up Nico and talked about his growth, and then Graham Hill raved about him in his press conference. Now, you can take that one of 2 ways. They're trying to encourage him through the media, or he's really doing the damn thing. So I'm curious to know what that is, but that would be a legitimate strategy. It's something that we wouldn't be in the know about. But if you're at Virginia Tech, who the heck is going to come in if JT were to go down? And we all don't want to see that happen. But if he did, at least you're guessing, I guess, is the only positive I can think out of.
Yeah, absolutely. And I said that's a good point to bring up. I not really necessarily letting a team pregame for who might come in behind JT Daniels, which I think that right now it's probably Garrett Green. I think that still seems to be the way to go. He seems the most confident in our offense right now. But I honestly wouldn't be losing JT Daniels would be the worst thing that could happen to our team. Yeah. He is just that big of a difference maker. but I don't think that we would come in lacking a decent quarterback. I don't think that we would go. I don't think things would go horribly wrong underneath any of our three backups. They might not go as great as what they're going under JT Daniels, but I have confidence in all three of our backups to be able to step into that position and kind of make it work for them. So I do feel confident about our quarterback situation, even though we do not know who would be stepping in behind JT Daniels.
Will Crowder is really good.
Yeah. The guy's got
he is unexpectedly very good at football.
And
not unexpectedly. I shouldn't say that. That might be disrespectful. But I didn't expect him to have. I didn't expect him to have an arm like that. He had some
arm talent.
Yeah, he can definitely throw the ball, which I think puts him in a good spot if JT ever goes down, because he would be the most similar quarterback to step into that role and kind of produce with our offense that we've got going right now. But there is just something exciting. Good.
Yeah, speaking on Nico, though, before we get on something else, I will say we've seen a lot of young quarterbacks come in here and struggle their first year trying to play in these types of environments whenever they have to come in a backup role, and we've seen them struggle. Like Geno Smith, those types of guys like that.
Chris Chugginoff.
Chris Chugginoff. This kid he looks special. He's going to be special. And I think everybody that's heard and been watching Mountaineer football for a while knows that. But, man, I truly got excited watching him play in the latter part of the fourth. And that's what made me most frustrated, that we didn't see him in more parts of the game today, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll even say that, it was exciting to watch Garrett Green run to play. He definitely looks real. And, if he doesn't become the future starter here in the blue and gold, he's going to be a future starter somewhere else. And he's going to look good. He's going to win games for whoever he starts for. And that's just because, he looks like an athlete. The man looks like a baller. He wants to go out there and play. He's got that it factor to him, which I've always preached, left and right, that a quarterback needs. They need that it factor. JT Daniels has it. Nico Markiel has it. Garrett Green has it. And I think Goose has it. And I think that's where that's where my confidence comes from in our quarterback room, is I feel like every single one of them have that it factor. They're just waiting for their moment to be it.
Goose has got a quiet confidence.
Yeah, I mean, they've always been talking about his leadership and how he's just got that air to him that guys gravitate towards him, and that's what you want to hear. But
if anything, I'm very upset that we didn't play Garrett Green a little bit more last year. It makes you a lot more frustrated seeing his what I always spoke on last year was how dynamic the offense got whenever he was in the game. I think
it's just something different.
I think if he played the whole game against Oklahoma last year, in my opinion, we win that game. I could be wrong. A lot of things could have went differently, but I swear I still think that we win that game, and then the rest of our season goes a little bit differently after that. But hindsight's 20/20, and you can say what ifs all day, but that kid's talented.
He is.
Gotcha. And while we got everybody on here, make sure you guys are liking the video, subscribing, sharing if you can. Follow us here, subscribe to us here at the Country Roads webcast on YouTube, the Voice of College Football, the Voice of College Football WV. Paul, let people know where they can find you at.
You can find me on Twitter at Mountaineer Paul. You can also, I'm actually starting to release content on my own page. It's also underneath Mountaineer Paul. So you can find me on YouTube as well. I've got a few videos to be releasing in the next couple of days. Unfortunately, I don't have anything yet. I kind of jumped into this. A lot of people encouraged me to do it, so I kind of just jumped in.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I'm glad to have
so
you.
we always love to have as much Mountaineer content as we can get. Somebody said I'm getting a little bit of feedback here. I'm going to kind of pull up a question, let you guys go at that and see if I can fix it. We'll go with this one. Luis Bourgeois or Berg. Yep. Sorry, Luis. Of the younger players that played, which one impressed you guys the most? A lot of them play in the fourth quarter. I liked 19, Lathan, the linebacker. He looks tall and athletic. We'll go ahead and send it to you, Steven, first. A young guy that you thought stood out to you, and then we'll let Paul go after that.
Yeah, I already mentioned him and touched on him, and I could be just going with fan favorite here, but I like Preston Fox. I think that, as small in stature as that kid is, that kid has a lot of talent and a lot of heart for his size. And that back shoulder catch in the back of the end zone, not a lot of players can make that catch. That's top tier talent right there. And if he can keep making plays like that, he's going to make his way up into the starting lineup, maybe even by the end of this season. Yeah, I liked what I seen out of Nico, and I liked a lot of the guys that I seen out of the defensive end, the back end of the defense, because other than the 7 points in the beginning of the game, they held them scoreless. The defense didn't give up a touchdown all day, so I liked a lot out of those young guys on that back end. Bradley can still hear us.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll go ahead and pass it on to you, bro.
So, yeah, they look good. I definitely like Lathan as well. I've been preaching him a lot. I like the young guys at the back. A young guy that really stood out to me that was probably my favorite young guy of the day was Thomas Remack. They put him in there in the first half at left guard, and he looked good. He was getting his feet around. He was moving his hips well. He was looking great at that left guard position, and that's somewhere that I could definitely see him making a push and a guy that's going to be a future starter for us. And I believe he's a freshman too, a true freshman. And so Thomas Remack really looked great to me. And so that's a guy I'm excited to see his future. But what about you, Paul? Who's somebody that kind of stood out to you today? One of those.
A kid that really stood out to me was Kaiser, the linebacker spot. He really made some plays today. He's not as athletic as the other guys are, but his fits were really good. He made some plays, albeit against a lesser competition, but man, he was in the right spot. He was in the middle of that fumble too. And so I was really happy to see what he did. I echo Preston Fox, just to even, if you don't mind, just to even kind of ride your coattails a little bit on that. I don't know that I would favor him over Sam James at this point. It's almost like he goes into these spells where he just produces very small amounts of production for us. I don't understand where it comes from, or if it's just he's not being targeted. But, man, Preston Fox is a dynamo, and he really – it's instant offense. Both times we've seen him on camera, he did what he did today. Now, like I said earlier, we're not there in the building. Obviously Sam James is extremely talented. I don't know. I'm not an offensive coordinator, so I can't speak to exactly why. But and then the other player that I was really, really excited about also was Travis Lathan, the guy you talked about, who is a big-time recruit for us, French 4-star guy. Some services had him as a 4-star. He really is somebody that's going to be good for us once his body fills out in the future.
Yeah, and Trey Lathan is the teammate of, or was the teammate of C.J. Donaldson, still is the teammate of C.J. Donaldson. Those guys went to the same high school. We were actually recruiting Trey Lathan when we found C.J. Donaldson, so what a combo there that we've gotten. And, yeah, I think Trey Lathan's going to be one of the better linebackers that we've seen in a while once he actually gets his body filled out and is able to kind of step into that role, because that's a role we definitely need, have a need at right now and probably going into the future. Let's go on to some more of these. Silas says, yeah, we needed a reset with the Towson game. Hope it helps the kids for Virginia Tech. Let's go. Thanks for being in here, Silas. I always appreciate you being in. Yeah, definitely needed a win. Definitely needed a positive note, as much as you can consider a drubbing of an FCS team a positive note. And then he goes on to say, Moore is terrible. And then Anthony Hill follows it up with, yeah, Matt Moore should have been gone January 1. And thanks, Anthony Hill, for being in. Appreciate you, brother. We got another one after Matt Moore's got to go. Yeah, it seems to be Matt Moore still is yet to be able to get a consistent, productive offensive line going, even though he's had, like I said, most of these guys for at least 2 years, if not 3. And, he's had every chance to get them right, and it seems that we're still having mistakes, still can't get a solid right tackle. Yeah, I think that, Matt Moore barely kept his job last year, and I don't see how he keeps his job at the end of this year, especially going forward. I don't see our offensive line getting much better. You would hope they get better, but that has not been the trend that we have seen under Matt Moore.
Yeah, if Neil Brown somehow keeps his job at the end of the season and Matt Moore is still here, yeah, I don't know how much I can support, anymore, because I'm quote unquote off that train right now for Neil Brown, but I'm going to support all day long, and I'll support the team all day long. But I just, when you don't make changes to things that obviously aren't working, then you're not building for progression, in my opinion. You're building to stay stagnant.
Yeah, Matt Moore. Yeah, it's funny. It's almost like they're trying to hide him. When's the last time you saw a press conference out of him? I mean, I watch for him every day. I haven't seen Matt Moore in a press conference since the summer. And he supposedly has an elevated title within the program. He's basically would be the head coach title-wise if Neil Brown were to go. So why is he not doing press conferences? Why is he not speaking? It just makes no sense. It's almost like they don't want to have to answer these questions. If we were winning, we'd have probably saw him 5 times already, or at least being productive at the offensive line spot. JT Daniels has been doing a lot of this in spite of the offensive line play. He even got beat around today. Now, one of those was a late hit, which I guess one of our guys pushed the defender into him. But he should have been that close anyway. It's Towson. One thing I will say, too, that it just caught my eye was Virginia Tech didn't look very good today, beating Wofford 27-7. I watched some of that game. I'm getting more and more confident. I mean, I don't think there's any way I don't think they're any better than us at all. I mean, I actually like us in that game. I know it's in Blacksburg, but I'm not too scared of that.
Yeah, I definitely think that Kansas is probably a better team than Virginia Tech this year. It's just one of those things where it's hard to feel confident, man, with what we've seen so far, and our inability to string together consistency just doesn't build a lot of confidence going into Virginia Tech. It is a Power 5. It is Blacksburg. It's an away game. It's a rivalry. If you don't show up, we could easily walk out of there with an L, and starting 1-3 is just going to continue to pour gasoline onto the fire that is building underneath Neil Brown's seat right now.
Yeah, and I mean, it may be just sheer history that makes me scared of Blacksburg, but I got to be honest. I mean, that atmosphere in that stadium, as loud as it gets, I mean, it always worries me playing over there, no matter how lowly the team is that year, because I remember in 2004, of course I was real young in 2004, and I just remember thinking there's no way West Virginia goes in there and loses that game. I don't care how good the crowd is, and I'll let you go back and you'll look at the score to that game if you want to. And then a part of it may be being so high up on West Virginia, in week 1, and then last week against Kansas, and then letting me down. But I wouldn't say that I'm super negative going into this week, but it's not a clear-cut win like I originally thought. I will say that, and it's not anything to do with how good Tech is at all. It's sheerly the atmosphere and the rivalry aspect of it.
I watched the Country Roads webcast, preview you guys did your predictions. One of you 3 had us losing Virginia Tech. Who was it? None
I
of you
think
guys.
that was me.
It wasn't me.
Yeah, I knew one of you guys had us losing to Virginia Tech before the season started.
Yeah. Well, my only reasoning for that was because originally I thought that we would go in and beat Pitt, and I thought that we would split between Pitt and Virginia Tech. Win one, lose one. And I remember walking out of the stadium the Pitt game, and I was like, well, I guess now that we lost, we beat Tech in my mind.
We can't lose
that one around. No. No.
When's the next game against them after this year?
It's a while. I think we got a
I
couple
don't think anyone knows.
I don't want to hear it
they have
for that long from them.
Not again.
Yeah, they held the black diamond for too long last time, so
yeah,
it's time to keep it home for a little while.
I'm already hearing enough from Marshall fans, and I mean they have drove me crazy these past weeks. I just had to just cut him off and not even look anymore, because at a certain point it just reaches idiocy to even like compare the programs. It's like, I live in Southern Ohio now, and I have friends that are Ohio State fans. I'm smart enough not to try to compare our programs. I love our program and I love where we are. I know we're not Ohio State. It's similar. But they beat Notre Dame, who was terrible this year, and all of a sudden they're the 97 Marshall team. Or the 2003 Marshall team.
And I mean, I think Marshall absolutely looks good. But
sorry, I was just going to say, compared to Marshall to WVU is like comparing Towson to Maryland. It's just, come on now. You got to realize who's
I had to get my shot in.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like I went out last night, and I've made some friends down here that are UNC fans, and they had some friends from Appalachia State here, and it's kind of like that same dynamic, where it's just, Appalachia State can get all these big wins if they want to, but they're just not UNC yet,
Right.
Which I think the Mountaineers are in the middle of college game day right now.
Yeah, they were playing. Troy was winning last I looked.
Let's see if we can score on
Troy has the 7th-ranked passing offense in the nation.
Wow.
They're a high-flying team this year.
Let me tell you something. If Jared Decky goes down to Troy and that actually ends up being a quality quarterback, I will be the maddest fan in the WVU fan base. Surely for the fact that, we gave this man how many shots at being the quarterback, and Neil Brown couldn't make this man a winning quarterback, but Troy can.
I mean, I don't even think he's starting at Troy still, right?
I'll be mad.
No, but my thing on that is,
no, he's not even starting at Troy.
No.
Oh,
I think if you give Neil Brown JT Daniels, how do you think Neil Brown would have done with JT Daniels calling the plays this year? They would have had to have been better, right? Just by it's a byproduct of JT Daniels. I wonder about that.
Yeah.
Graham Harrell gets to come in, he gets JT Daniels. Neil Brown had Daggy. And I just wonder how Neil Brown would do. He was a more ball control type offense, type of play caller for us. But I wonder if he would have opened it up some more with a guy like Daniels. Just, you never know.
Yeah, I'm not too sure.
Because he had the same kind of reputation as a Graham Harrell before he got here, albeit but he did have a ton of talent and experience at Texas Tech as well. So it's just odd that he all of a sudden comes to West Virginia and can't call plays anymore. It just blows me away.
Yeah, I'll say, and just like kind of like poor time management is just kind of something that you think that a head coach should have down pat, especially a guy that we consider Neil Brown to be. He always seems to be on top of it. He seemed to be at the forefront of that part of the game when he decided, which is something we probably had embedded in us since he decided not to kick a field goal in his first season because he decided not to kick the field goal in the first season because there was a chance they could return it and make it an 8-point game or whatever it was against whoever it was year one. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I know that
he's so raved
about. Yeah, very, very over analytical. Let's move on to a part of the game that we haven't really talked about. I feel like WVU has kind of been looking for that second running back. Tony Mathis really had a chance today. He went over 100 yards on 17 carries, 2 touchdowns. He looked better, but I still don't know if he is the man or Justin Johnson's the man or if we're just really going to have to lean on C.J. Donaldson as the solo carry running back for the year.
Yeah, I'm going to touch on this one, and then I'm probably going to head out so I can get on the road, fellas. I think that Tony Mathis technically is our one. I think, if anything, C.J. Donaldson has proved through 3 weeks that he is the one. I think that change needs to be made on the depth chart. No slap at Tony Mathis, but C.J. Donaldson has been the most productive back. He's been the most dynamic back. And I think that Tony Mathis is the 2. So there's your answer for that. But I think that C.J. Donaldson, man, that kid is a star. Credit to Caden Prather for getting that block on that one run. But, man,
he looked great today.
Absolutely, man. He has looked great every game. I can't think of anything that has looked freshman-like from C.J. Donaldson so far. True freshman at that. So
he's rare.
That's what he's very, very rare find. That's one of the that's a Steve Slayton caliber find, in my opinion, is what that one is right there, fellas. Indianapolis.
I completely agree.
That's
It's a good
that's
comparison.
what I'll leave you with.
Hold on, wait. Let me get your offensive defensive player of the game.
Oh, offensive defensive player of the game. Let's say. Oh, that's a good one. Offense, I'm going to go with C.J. Donaldson because not to any slap at JT, but I think that C.J. continues to show that if there's any other player that's as important on this offense as JT Daniels, it's probably C.J. Donaldson. Defense, man, I've seen a lot of things out of a lot of new guys today, but I really liked Lee Koba. I thought that he got a hat in there. I thought a lot of times, especially last week, that you thought you should see Lee Koba in there playing that middle linebacker position. He wasn't. And today I thought that he had a pretty good bounce back game, so I'll give it to Lee.
Gotcha. Great. Sounds good. All right. Appreciate having you on, brother. Drive safe on your way back home. And let's go Mountaineers.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate you guys. I'll holler at y'all later.
All right.
All right. Well, we got you guys. Remember, we're getting towards the end of our show here. Me and Paul are going to do our offensive, defensive players of the game and the play of the game that we thought. But yeah, guys, just make sure you're subscribing. Country Roads Webcast. We do a preview post and some Q&As throughout the week. We're putting out a lot of content. You can also catch us here after the games on the Voice of College Football. Make sure you give a tune into the Voice of College Football call-in show at 11:30s. Check us out. Subscribe. Hit that like button. Helps us. Helps you get out more of this Mountaineer content. Check Paul out. Paul the Mountaineer on Twitter. He's getting his YouTube going up. Guys, jump on him. Give him a subscribe. Give him a like. Help him get his stuff growing. The more Mountaineer content, the better. So definitely want to keep pushing that and, help each other grow. It's what we're here for. It's what West Virginia's about. It's what our brand's about. And, yeah. So that being said, Paul, why don't you go ahead and give me your offensive player of the game and your defensive player of the game if you just want to go ahead and knock them both out.
I'm going big ugly on both sides. I really love, despite some of the bad things we had to say about the O-line, Wyatt Milam played a whale of a game today on the left side. You don't get 200 yards rushing without having some kind of production on that offensive line. And all the big runs we had were off that left side in between him and James Committer. So they both played well together in tandem today. But if you go back, and I've had a chance to rewind and look a few times, Wyatt Milam was absolutely destroying people today. And which is great to see because he had a rough start to the season. So I was really glad to see him pop back. And then Jordan Jefferson was absolutely dominant today. I really loved what I saw about him. He was unblockable. He really opened things up for Stills to make some plays and also for the linebackers. But Jordan Jefferson, even the broadcast announcer said he's going to be a draft pick, and I agree with that. He's 6'3", 310 pounds. He's a monster. You don't want, Kansas ran the ball away from him. Even Neil Brown said that. Didn't come at him one time, none, hardly at all last week. So I got a little bit too excited there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great pick. For me, offensive side of the ball, I have to go with C.J. Donaldson. 101 on 9 carries and 3 touchdowns is just a monster stat. That's just crazy. He's now put up over 100 yards in 2 of his 3 games played. Probably has over 300 yards, and he's probably averaging over 100 yards through his first 3 games. Absolutely nutty numbers. Guys making a name for himself. Yeah, absolutely crazy stats. Honestly, it feels like some video game stats, to be real. And on the defense, I'm going to agree with you. I think Jordan Jefferson was the man on defense today. He looked unstoppable. He looked like a force. He seemed like he was always in there making guys move and just really making things happen. And I think that's what we're going to need going forward. So, Jordan Jefferson, hats off to you today, buddy, because you played a hell of a game. Absolutely.
Agreed. All
right, and Paul, let me get your what do you think is the play of the game?
Play of the game. That's a good question. It's got to be the C.J. Donaldson 85-yard run. We haven't had anything like that since Letty against Kansas in 2020. We haven't had a big run like that. And to see a 6'2", 240-pound kid, I would say he's in that 4 or 5 range. He can pull away from from people. He's got everything. The only thing that he really doesn't have on an elite level is lateral movement. Everything else is elite with him. And that 85-yard run, I mean, how many 6'2", 240-pound guys run away from people like that? I don't care if they're FCS or not. Those corners are fast.
Yeah, speed is speed. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's hard to argue with. I'm going to go with a play that actually wasn't even a play, but I thought it was one of the most impressive plays of the day. Was Bryce Ford Wheaton's non-touchdown that was absolutely a touchdown.
The touchdown.
With that back shoulder fade in the corner of the end zone. His toe was in. I don't know in what world that's not a touchdown, but that was an absolutely gorgeous play. Beautiful. Loved it. Loved every second of it. I'm going to use that as my play of the game, even though, I mean, you can pick a lot of plays out in a 65-7 win, but that's one that I just thought, if that's a touchdown, that's a spectacular play. That's, highlight material right there if it's called a touchdown like it should have been. So,
can I give an honorable mention?
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
I really just, Nico, that touchdown he threw, did you get a chance to see him on the sidelines? I mean, he was so happy. He was
I'm sure he was. His first big touchdown was a Mountaineer.
And I really thought maybe he was going to be down because he came in late in the game. But that's just not who he is. He's proven it to us over and over. He's such a high-character kid. It blows my mind that he chose us. Not that we aren't worthy of him, but I'm just so grateful that we have him on our – whether he plays this year or not, I'm so grateful he's here. I hope he knows how much he's loved, and all the guys, because we love him.
Yeah, that's a great point too. I mean, and I think that is a redeeming part of Neil Brown is I do think that he's built a good culture, and I think that he has players in the right mind state, and I think that that's why kids want to come play for him, which makes him a great recruiter. Kids want to come be part of it. And, Stephen had brought it up in our Q&A on Thursday, Neil Brown's done everything right but win, and it sucks that's at the end of the day, that's what matters. You could be as great at everything else as you want to be, but if you're not putting W's up, then you got to go, unfortunately. But yeah, so it's definitely great to see a guy like that. We're definitely blessed to have a kid like him, and it only is going to be more touchdowns going forward in the future for him. So absolutely beautiful play, beautiful ball. Glad to see him get his first touchdown in the blue and gold. But that being said, I think that's going to wrap it up here for this Postgame live show. Paul, loved having you on. It was a great show, man. Definitely have to get you on here a lot more often. Once again, guys, make sure you check him out, Paul the Mountaineer, on YouTube and on Twitter. A lot of great stuff on Twitter. I always see you on Twitter. Obviously, that's my area. Love the bird. Love the tweets. And again, make sure you guys like this video, subscribe, leave some more comments on it. Hear the voice of college football, the voice of college football, West Virginia. Get out some more of this great Mountaineer content. But with that, Mountaineers get out of Miami Fish Stadium today, covering the money line, covering the spread, beating Towson 65-7 in a great game. Not a lot of mistakes, and build a little momentum going forward into Virginia Tech. So with that being said, as always, I'm your host, Bradley Brown. And then for me, Paul, and Steven, let's go Mountaineers.
Hugh Country Roads.